Okay folks, welcome to episode 3. We're now getting into the main body of the story itself. The beginning. I will never forget the day I met Link. It was a warm spring day. I was on my usual trip back to Hyrule with my wagon of goods to sell in Hyrule Market at the annual Spring Festival. I had been a travelling merchant since I was 14. This is my 6th year returning to Hyrule. The last 2 years I was not able to return when Princess Zelda sent word of an evil presence in Hyrule. Then all contact was lost. For almost 2 years I tried to contact Princess Zelda. Desperately, I kept trying to find out if she was okay. I was never too long without contact with my good friend. Then I was considering going to investigate, when one day word came that peace had been restored to Hyrule due to the legendary Hero of Time. After some catching up with my old friend, I came to find out what really happened. Seems that a Gerudo named Ganondorf, an evil man from Gerduo Valley, desired the legendary Triforce. Though the Triforce was only told in fairy tales to the children where I come from, I was amazed to find out it really existed. She told me how she played with things she knew nothing about, and how Ganondorf tricked the soon-to-be Hero of Time into unlocking the door to the Sacred Realm. I even noticed that Zelda was a little older than I. Last I saw her, she was 4 years younger than me. It was told to me that when Ganondorf went into the Temple of Time and into the Sacred Realm, time jumped ahead in Hyrule 7 years. Yet only 2 years had passed in my land and in the rest of the world. Okay, I've got to just stop here just for one moment to say that this girl does not know anything about how the Temple of Time actually works. Those of us who actually bothered paying attention while we were playing the video game would have realised that apart from Link himself, time flowed normally for everybody else. The only reason it didn't for Link was because his spirit was trapped inside the Sacred Realm for 7 years, just until he was old enough to actually be the proper Hero of Time. Because if you remember at the start of the quest, he was just a little kid. He'd just left Kokiri Forest. There was no jumping about of time for everybody else. That was only for Link. So she clearly doesn't know how that works. And she also contradicted herself. She said she was trying to contact Princess Zelda for 2 years. And then she said, I was never too long without contact with a good friend. So, yeah, so far we've had a contradiction and we've had a complete misunderstanding of how the Temple of Time and the Sacred Realm actually work. So, yeah. Let's continue. After the Hero of Time defeated the King of Evil, the hero was granted to either return to the past or to remain in the present time. Since he chose to remain in the present, Zelda jumped ahead of me in age by 4 years. It seems that everyone in Hyrule jumped in age from the rest of the world, but now that peace was restored, life resumed in Hyrule. As I made my way down the desert trail that led to Hyrule, I begun to think about who the legendary Hero of Time was. Okay, I've got to stop again here. The desert trail. There is only one bloody desert, and that's the Gerudo Desert. Doesn't she mean Hyrule Field, which is a field, not the desert? Right, let's continue. I was very interested in meeting this man. Princess Zelda never told me his name, but I was going to make it a point this time to finally meet Hyrule's hero. As I turned off the dirt trail and onto Hyrule Field, Hyrule Castle appeared in the distance. Dust and dirt kicked up from behind the wheels of my wagon as it creaked along. Then as I came closer to the gates of Hyrule Castle, a familiar face appeared to greet me. I pulled back on the reins to make the horses come to a complete stop at the front gate, and I realised that the person greeting me was my good friend Princess Zelda. Yeah, I've got to stop here again. What the hell is Princess Zelda doing by the gate? She'd be kept in the castle, safe, surrounded by guards. If you remember in the game, the first time that Link goes to see Princess Zelda, he had to sneak past a bunch of guards. She'd have known that. Yeah, she'd have definitely known that if she got anywhere in the game. Let's carry on. I've been a good friend of the royal family ever since my first arrival in Hyrule 6 years ago for Hyrule's annual spring festival. Ever since the first day I met the princess, I've been one of her closest friends. I was even considered part of the royal family. Okay, I know I'm stopping again, but entitled much? So she's considered part of the royal family because she's that much of a good friend. Why is then she still a travelling merchant? Just a thought. After I climbed down from my perch on the wagon, I ran over to Zelda and hugged her. Hello, Princess Zelda, my good friend. Yes, it's good to see you. How have you been? Looking at her, I could tell she was happy to see me. Oh, it's so good to see you again, my friend. Come, come, father is waiting to see you. Leaving my wagon to be tended by the stable hands, I followed Zelda through the marketplace and to the gates that led to the castle. As we approached the castle gates, I saw some of the same guards I'd seen in the past few years. Just stop a sec. Would those be the guards that you should have been avoiding? Just a thought. Let's continue. Saluting to Princess Zelda and me was a god named Perino. I met him a few years back during one of my visits to Hyrule. He was one of the gods that befriended me the first time I arrived. He smiled a friendly smile as we passed by. It's nice to see you again, Mistress Jenny, he said, and he waved back. As I smiled back, I thought how good it was to be back again. We went through the front gate and made our way towards the palace garden. Upon approaching the gates leading to the garden, another familiar face appeared to greet me. As I walked closer, I realised it was the face of Zelda's caretaker, Emperor of the Sheikahs. As I walked over to Emperor, she turned to fully face me, and a small smile crossed her face. It's good to see you again, my friend. How's life been treating you? Emperor asked, and put a hand on my shoulder. Oh, fine, nothing out of the ordinary. I had to chase some thieves off on the first night I was on my way here. Though after some facing time off, I was able to chase them away with my bow. Then I made a big grin as I remembered the look on the thieves' faces when I rained arrows on them. Well, it seems that with the abilities you possess, you should have no problems keeping your possessions safe. With another smile, Emperor gestured for us to go in the garden. Okay, stop here again. She's one person, with one bow, able to chase off multiple thieves by raining arrows on them. What, is it one of these special bows that, like, rains several arrows as opposed to just one? Fire arrow, perhaps? No, that's never explained. It's never explained. Oh well, never mind. Let's continue. That is where I met him, the man that took my heart. As we walked into the garden, I saw a young man in green, with his back facing us, polishing a rather odd sword. As I watched him, I began to notice something about the sword. It had a rather odd shape on the hilt. The hilt was blue, with the top of the hilt looking like a fish's tail. The sword looked strangely familiar. I leaned over to Princess Zelda and asked her who the young man was. That is the legendary hero of time. His name is Link, Zelda replied. Okay, stopping again. The hilt of the Master Sword does not have a fish's tail, and it is purple, it's not blue. Okay, she possibly could have colour blindness of some kind, but fish's tail? Unless she's thinking of a different game where it was maybe a little bit different, but Since this game is set just after Ocarina of Time, I'm choosing to use the knowledge we know of Ocarina of Time, and since he's got the Master Sword, we can safely assume it's the same fucking sword. Okay? It's the same sword. So that's inaccurate. I mean, for someone who's a Legends of Zelda fan, to not know what the bloody Master Sword looks like, that's inexcusable. Okay? My eyes grew as big as saucers as I turned to look back at him. You mean he is the hero of time you told me about, the one who saved Hyrule? Then that must be the legendary Master Sword he's holding? Zelda nodded yes. Just then Link turned to look at us, and with one look at his face my heart sank into my chest. He was the most gorgeous man I had ever laid my eyes upon. At that very moment, I fell in love. Oh, okay. It's... No, okay. We already don't like the direction that this is going. Heart sank into her chest. Well, biologically, where else would your heart be? It's not in your head. It's not in your throat. It's in your chest. Hello? Okay, I guess she sucks at biology as well as sucking at writing, but oh well. Let's carry on. His eyes were looking down into deep blue pools of water, his lips firm, his ears long and sexy. Beautiful blonde hair that parted in the middle. His body was so tight and muscular that it took my breath away. When our eyes met, I blushed and swiftly looked away. He approached me and took my hand in his, gently kissed it and asked, "Who might this beautiful young lady be?" I turned my head back to face him, and as our eyes met again I blushed. "My name is Jenny. I am a travelling merchant from the great Libyan coast. My village is there. I have been a friend of the royal family for a long time, and I come every year for Hyrule's annual spring festival." He looked into my eyes and smiled. Watching him smile made my heart pound in my chest. He again took my hand in his, kissed it again and spoke. "Nice to meet you, Mistress Jenny." "You are as beautiful as a winter rose," he said, as he stared at me with his enchanted blue eyes. "Thank you," I stammered, as I blushed again. Okay. As beautiful as a winter rose. Usually by winter most roses would be half rotted. Well, usually anyway. Oh God, sometimes you get roses flowering at stupid times like December, but the average winter, no, not so much. Oh, so that's pretty stupid. And also in this paragraph, when Jenna is speaking, instead of simply using a comma to pause the speech, she's used the speech marks. She'll close the speech marks, then she'll open the speech marks, do the next bit, full stop, close speech marks, then open again. All those speech marks are unnecessary. It makes you think that you're going to be changing point of view, whereas in actuality, it's still the same person talking. So that makes it a little bit more difficult to read. Clearly, nobody's taught her how to use speech marks correctly. A little bit annoying, but never mind. Okay. "What are you doing tonight?" he asked with a soft smile. Stunned, not believing my ears, I turned and looked directly into his eyes again. "Nothing really. I was just going to retire to my wagon and cook supper before settling in front of the fire to read a book." With a glint in his eyes, he asked, "Why don't you join me tonight in Kakiri village for the annual spring night celebration?" It is a celebration feast that happens the night before the spring festival. Without hesitation, I took him up on his offer. "I would love to go," I said with a soft smile. "I will pick you up this evening," Link said with a grin. Just then a deep voice rumbled through the garden. "Jenna, my dear friend, how have ye been?" A grandfatherly face appeared before me. With a smile I curtsied before the king. "King Zelda, my old friend, how I have missed you." "I have been just fine. It is really nice to see you again," I said with excitement in my voice. As always, the king thought of me as a daughter and always looked forward to the day when I would arrive in Hyrule for the annual spring festival. He always liked to see what new merchandise I had picked up through my travels since the last time I was there, and most of the time he would buy something from me. But he always liked it when I show up, since I would bring a lot of fun and happiness. I looked at the king. I realised that I was somewhat at home. Oh no. Well, King Zelda. Really? No, his name is King Hyrule. All of the kings of Hyrule have had the surname Hyrule. Ugh. Zelda is a female name. Now why is he speaking in ye old butchered English? That makes no sense. Why would a big celebration in Hyrule like this? Why would this not be held in Castletown? Why would it be held in Kokiri Forest? That makes no sense. Makes no sense at all. There's only two locations where it would make sense. One is Castletown and the other is Kakariko Village. For some reason, this celebration is held in neither of those locations. Never mind. It makes no sense at all, but let's continue. As he started to approach me, I ran up to the king and gave him a hug. How I missed him. Ever since my parents died when I was very young, I never let anyone get very close to me. But the king was different. He opened up to me, took me into his family and became like a father to me. He gave me a home to come to every year. When I was in Hyrule, I felt at home. Jenna, my sweet daughter, what have ye acquired through thy travels this past year? I smiled at the king. You must see some of the new cloth I picked up in the city of Sky Isle, the great city of light. I smiled as the king's eyes grew big. Jenna, my daughter, you must show me what you've acquired. Then he took my hand and began to lead me out of the garden. With one last look back at Link, I smiled at him. See you tonight, I said before I left. After spending some time with the king, he brought some of my new cloth and let me settle in for the night. I returned to the inside of my wagon and prepared a hot bath. I went to the mirror and brushed my hair while I waited for the hot water to heat up. After about 5 minuets, the water was ready. As I slowly slipped down into the warm water, it felt good against my sore muscles. I began to relax and slowly let my thoughts drift away. Link was the only thing on my mind. He's so handsome, I thought to myself. That is the heroic man who became the legendary hero of time and saved Hyrule from a life of darkness. Though something tugged at the back of my mind, I remembered that I had wanted to marry one day, and Link would be a good choice since he was my age, strong, smart, and handsome, and would help make strong, beautiful children. Yes, indeed, Link would make a good husband. Then I took the soap and washed up. After I washed, I got out of the tub and dried off. I went to the wardrobe closet to pick out a dress for this evening's occasion. After some rummaging, I picked a low V-cut white dress with lace that held the V together. Gold embroidered Triforce symbols lined the bottom of the dress, and the sleeve started from mid-arm and ran all the way down my arm to my waist. Next, I picked a gold choker with the Triforce symbol for around my neck and a gold Triforce ring for my finger. Then I had to do my hair. I braided my hair into a halo braid and ran a silver lace through it. After that, I went to the full-length mirror to take a look at myself. as I looked myself over. A knock came at the door. Okay, just stop right here. She has a wagon, which she uses to be a travelling merchant. And bearing in mind that Ocarina of Time, this is a medieval setting. How does this wagon have indoor plumbing to make this hot bath? And she's got a wardrobe full of clothes as well. Oh, surely she would just have one little section where she would fold the clothes and put it in to save space. This must be some one big ass wagon. She's only just met Link and she's thinking of getting married. That sounds like a spell for disaster, folks, really. I mean, if you meet somebody and you're only just beginning to date them, you're just getting yourself ready for date number 1. Are you thinking of marriage at that point? No, I didn't think so. Didn't think so at all. Anyway, let's continue. Come, I yelled. Appearing in the doorway was the man I had set my eyes on. His eyes grew big as he looked me over. You look beautiful tonight, Link says. He took my hand and kissed it. Then he led me out of the door. There were 2 horses in front, saddled for riding. One was a rust-coloured mare with a white mane and tail and a black mussel. Stop here for a second. Black mussel. She spelt it as in the seafood. M-U-S-S-E-L. I think she meant muzzle, but no. that was actually quite funny. Carry on. The other was one of my brown mares with a black mane and tail. The one he had gotten was the one with the white star on her forehead, the one who I named Star Dancer. He led me to my mare and helped me into the saddle. Then he mounted the other horse. Looking back at me, his eyes seemed to glow in the moonlight. Follow me, I'll lead the way. Then he booted the horse in the legs and took off at a slow gallop. I then followed. We rode through the south of Hyrule Field and came upon a long, dark tunnel. This way, Link called, through here. I watched as Link disappeared into the tunnel. Then I followed. At the other end, we crossed a bridge. And then into what seemed to be a village. Oh God, hold on. First off, I mean, I don't know a great deal about horse riding because I'm a little bit, I don't think I'd like to do something like that. I'm a bit wary of horses, but I'm pretty sure you don't boot them in the legs. I think that'd probably make the horse throw you to the ground, if I'm going to be perfectly honest. If you actually observe horse riders, as you might have done during the last Olympic Games or whenever, don't they just tend to squeeze them in the ribs a little bit to get them to go? So, yeah, this Vic's now got animal abuse. She's also made a pretty major mistake here. The south side of Hyrule Field, and then you cut... No! The entrance to Kokiri Forest is in the east. The southern parts of Hyrule. Oh, the southernmost part is Lake Hylia. If she'd played the game, she would have known that. Oh, man. She can't have played this game very much if she was not aware of this. Ocarina of Time's map is simple. You can't screw this up. Oh, I just despair, folks. I really do despair. How can you know anything about the game and not know anything about it? I mean, well, anyway, sorry, I'm probably wasting a bit of time here, so let's continue. Little people wearing green clothes that looked like kids' started to surround us when we stopped. This is Kokiri Village, the place where I was raised, Link says as he dismounted. After I dismounted, one of the kid-like Kokiri took our horses to tend them. As I walked around the village, the childlike people began watching me. They all seemed very curious to who I was. As I looked around them, I noticed that they had something floating around them. As I looked closer, I noticed that they looked like fairies from the fairy tales told to us in our village as kids. Were these really fairies from the stories I heard as a child? I thought to myself. Just then, one of the Kikiri, a young girl, approached me. My name is Saria, what's yours? The young girl asked. My name is Jenna. It's a pleasure to meet you, I replied. Are you the one that came with my friend Link for our spring night festival? Saria's eyes seemed to glow at that moment. Yes, he invited me, I said as a smile crossed the Kikiri girl's face. Right, this last bit of the paragraph here. First of all, this would imply that she had never been to Kikiri village before, and yet she's been coming to Hyrule apparently for the last 6 years to trade her wares. Why would she only go to Hyrule Castle and not any of the other places? Why would she not go to Kikiri village? Kakariko village? Why would she not go see the Gerudo? Why would she not go see the Zora? You see, none of this is ever explained. And had she have gone into Kikiri village, she would have realised that fairies are actually real in the land of Hyrule. So for somebody who claims to have actually played this game, she really wasn't paying a great deal of attention, methinks. So what I'll do now, because this has gone on for about half an hour as of yet, I'll wrap it up here and I'll do the rest of this chapter in another episode. Prepare for more canon breaking insanity, folks. Bye for now.